Hello everyone and welcome back to the Cupcake Jemma channel. Now remember last week when I made that fudge, which was absolutely delicious, and I hope you guys made it, but do you remember when I said that I had big plans for that fudge? Well, today is the day that I'm going to let that fudge have its moment by making one of my favourite flavours of ice cream. It's toffee fudge. Now growing up, my favourite ice cream was Gino Ginelli's toffee fudgy ice cream, and it was like this delicious combination of vanilla and caramel ice cream with these tiny little fudgy pieces, which is actually why I made this fudge in the first place, because I really wanted to make this ice cream. So I've recreated it, but I like to think I've improved it ever so slightly, sorry Gino, by giving it a delicious, creamy, salted caramel base and lovely sour cream salted caramel swirls throughout it, and also, obviously, my little fudgy bits. So I think you're gonna really like it. I hope Gino will be proud of me. We're gonna need to make the base. As with most custard-based ice creams, you wanna do that well in advance because it does need to be completely cold and chilled and thickened before you start churning it in your ice cream machine. You could even do this the day before or a couple of days before, but at least 2 hours in the fridge is ideal. So salted caramel custard requires salted caramel in the first place, so I'm going to make a dry caramel. I've got a medium-sized pan. The pan wants to be big enough to take all the ingredients, so bear that in mind when you start. And I'm going to put in 135 grams of caster sugar. So set that over a medium heat and just leave it to do its thing. In the meantime, you can measure out your double cream. I've got 150 grams of double cream here, but you don't need that just yet, just have it ready. Your sugar is going to start to melt and dissolve around the edges at first, but do leave it for now. Wait until it starts to colour before you start getting a spoon in there. And unlike wet caramel, it can take a little bit of stirring and agitation, so give a little mix every now and then just to make sure it's caramelizing nice and evenly. When the sugar is a lovely, rich amber color throughout, you can take it off the heat and then slowly, a little bit at a time, add your cream, stirring constantly after each addition, and very carefully. It gets very steamy and bubbly, so use a nice long spatula. When all the cream is mixed in and the bubbles have totally subsided, add to the saucepan 600 grams of milk, 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla, and 1 teaspoon of sea salt, and give that a really good mix before setting it back over a low heat. While your caramel milk is getting all nice and warm, you can prepare your eggs. So I've got in a bowl, I've got 5 egg yolks, and I'm going to add 50 grams of caster sugar to that, and then whisk it together. I'm not trying to like get this super duper fluffy or anything. I just want to combine it really well and break down the egg yolk and dissolve the sugar a little bit, and it'll be ready when it's a little bit paler than it is now. And when your caramel milk is steamy but not bubbling, we don't want it to boil, it's ready to pour onto the egg. So what you're going to do is temper the eggs by pouring a little bit of it, whisking at the same time. And what that's going to do is bring the temperature of the eggs up slowly. And when you've put about half in, you can pour that mixture back into the saucepan and then set it back over a medium heat again, sort of low medium heat. And then you want to keep this moving. So we're going to thicken it up, and it does take 10 to 15 minutes of heating and stirring. The reason you're going to constantly stir it is because you don't want the eggs to scramble on the bottom of the pan where it's at the hottest. So keep it moving all the time, and when it's nice and thick, it should coat the back of a spoon, and then it is ready. Lovely. Now we just need to pour this into a container. Obviously, make sure it's big enough. And this is just about right. And then it's really important with any kind of custard to put cling film over the top and have the cling film touching the surface, because otherwise you can get a horrible film, like a skin on top. Well, actually, some people quite like the skin, but it doesn't really work so well on ice cream. Obviously, it's really hot right now. So let it cool to room temperature and then put it in the fridge for at least 2 hours, preferably overnight. Like I said, you could keep this for 3 days in the fridge before churning it if you want, but 2 hours minimum. Okay, so while your custard is chilling out and having a spa day in the fridge, you can make your caramel. Now this is going to be a sour cream caramel. I actually made this by accident, not by accident, I kind of just made it to see what it would be like with sour cream instead of double cream. And I really liked it. It's not as smooth as regular caramel, but it's got a really nice, unusual, tangy flavour, which I think really takes the edge off the sweetness of this ice cream completely. But I have my sour cream, I've got 90 grams. I'm gonna add half a teaspoon of good quality vanilla extract, and just whisk that in thoroughly, just so that it's ready for when I need it later. And then just set that to one side. And now we're gonna make a wet caramel because, you know, let's get all the caramels done today. So I've got 90 grams of caster sugar. I'm gonna put that into a pan along with 40 grams of water. And then I'm just gonna set that over a medium heat, not touching it. Unlike dry caramel, it doesn't like to be agitated, otherwise it can crystallize, which is just really annoying. What will happen is your sugar will start to dissolve and bubble away, and eventually after a few minutes, it'll start to color. Once it reaches a lovely rich amber color, remove it from the heat, and then slowly put in your sour cream a little bit at a time, stirring all the time. Now, sour cream will make this bubble up an awful lot, way more than normal cream, so please use a long spatula and a lot of caution. And then just finish it off with a little pinch of salt. You don't have to do that. If you think this is salty enough, then that's all right, but just mix that through, and then you want to pour that into another container just so that it has a chance to cool down, because this obviously needs to be cold before we use it in the ice cream. So pop it into a container, leave it to cool down to room temperature before popping it in the fridge, just like your custard. It's churning time, everybody. Now, as you can see, my custard, which has now been in the fridge for a few hours, is really thick and it's mega cold. And look, ooh, really lovely and thick. So this is gonna make such a delicious ice cream. But we've got to churn it. Now, I am using my trusty ice cream machine. This is one of the machines that freezes it and churns it at the same time. If you have a different kind of machine, then I urge you to refer to your instructions, because I can't vouch for the methods of your machine. But this is the one I'm using. So I'm going to start by putting it into my pail. Now, good news for you, if you don't have a machine, you can make ice cream. You just need to prepare yourself, because it will take a little bit longer and a bit more effort. So what you want to do is find a container that's big enough to contain your custard, but also with a bit of vigorous stirring, because you need to put that into the freezer for half an hour at first. Get it out, whisk it about with a whisk, just to agitate it a little bit. Put it back in the fridge, and then do that every half an hour, whisking every time. And start to reduce the time it's in the freezer as you whisk and as it starts to thicken up. And it will be ready when it's at a kind of soft serve texture. But I don't need to do that. I'm going to put it on right now. So pop it on, pop the lid on. There we go. And I just literally do this. 60 minutes in my machine. Off you go. I'm going to go find myself a cup of tea, maybe a cookie from downstairs in the bakery, and just relax for an hour. Time's up, guys. My machine has been struggling through the now very stiff ice cream. It's actually stopped going around because it's so ready. So I've got all my bits and bobs ready to go. I've got my lovely caramel, which is now fridge cold and just absolutely glorious. Look at that, so yummy. And I've got my little fudge pieces, and as you can see, I've cut them up really small, just like Gino would have done. Yeah, I mean, by all means, cut them bigger than that, but I quite like a little teeny weeny nugget in my scoopful of ice cream. Also got a container chilling in the freezer because I want it to be as cold as pos. And this is gonna be messy. Trying to get the ice cream out of the bucket and into a container, I can't seem to do it neatly, and I don't even know where to begin. I need to dig to find the little handle. Where is it? There it is. I'm a professional cupcake maker who likes to make ice cream. So just put about a third of the ice cream into the tin and then just level it off with a palette knife to make sure it's spread all over the bottom. Then dollop a good amount of your lovely caramel and drizzle it all about. Top that with a generous smattering of little fudge pieces, and then go again with the next third, and then continue doing that, leveling it off, giving it all that caramel, giving it all that fudge, and then when you get to the top, give the caramel a little bit of a swirly whirl just to make it pretty, and then finish it off with more fudge pieces. Oh my gosh, that is it, except that it does need to go in the freezer. So just pop a little bit of greaseproof paper onto the top, just so it doesn't get like freezer burn. And then whack that into the freezer for a couple of hours to set firm, because at the moment it's more like soft scoop, but what we want is it to be scoop, right? So happily, for you and for me, I've already got one here, which I made earlier because no one's got time to wait for 2 hours to wait for ice cream. So there he is, ready to be scooped. So I've got my fancy glass and I've got my hot scoop. And I don't really know where my spoon is, but maybe we can improvise. I've got my spoon from my caramel over there. I can just lick that. And then let's scoop it. Ooh, look at that. Lush. I think this is a 2-scoop situation. I don't know about you.
I would agree.
Ah, Dane agrees. Also, Dane wants the leftovers. And there it is. And I am gonna taste it all together and see how we get on.
Put some sauce with it.
Oh, good idea. Oh my gosh, I have actually got leftovers. Now this sauce is just so wonderful because it is a little bit surprising with its sourness. You don't expect it because you're used to like a sort of really sweet caramel vibe, but this is just right. And all those little fudgy nuggets. Fudgy nugget sounds like a euphemism, but it's not. That is so good. Oh my gosh, Gino, I hope you're proud of me. If you know who Gino Ginelli is, please tell me in the comments section. Was he real? Was he based on a real person? Whoever he is, he was a genius for giving me the inspiration for this ice cream. I'm gonna have to put that down, otherwise I'm gonna literally eat the whole thing and all you're gonna see is a sort of cold mess. I will be back next week. I hope you have fun making this. Please do tag us in all your photos so that we can see how you got on. Don't forget to check out the fudge video from last week if you want to make this. I mean, if you're making your own ice cream, you might as well make your own fudge, right? In my opinion. So do give this a go. And if you want to hang out with us in our gang, then please, why not join the Bake Club? It's a really great way of supporting the channel. Also, you get extra content and other surprise bits and bobs every now and then. And it just means the world to us. And for any one of you who is a Bake Club member out there, thank you so much. We really appreciate you and everything that you do. But we also appreciate everyone else who subscribes to the channel. So please do that. It's completely free and you get all of our amazing content. I'm not sure who's back next week, whether it's me or Dane or Sally. Who could it be? I just don't know. There's been a lot going on. So yeah, one of us will see you next week and we'll give you some more great recipes. So see you then. Bye. Now leave me alone with my ice cream. Tutti frutti, what a cutie, take a Gino home with you. Anyone remember the song? Gino, oh Gino Ginelli.